I am Eric Filippi, and I'm currently an assistant principal at Wichita High School Southeast in Wichita, Kansas. I've been a part of AVID since 2001. I've been trained in AVID methodologies in social studies, as an AVID elective teacher, and as an AVID administrator. In the next few minutes, I'd like to share with you guys three things. First, I'd like to share with you some of my life history. Second, I'd like to share what I hope you can gain from this week. And finally, a couple pieces of advice as you embark on your own AVID journey. I had a childhood that was challenging, though I didn't really realize it at the time. But I was very happy, especially with school. School was a great place to be, until junior high school. I went to junior high with all the drama associated with being a teen. Friends came and went, cliques ruled our world, and I learned the art of being the class clown. In high school at Wichita High School Heights, Mr. Bishop, my freshman English teacher, asked the class a question. I gave a smart alecky response, and he shot over to my desk, and he distinctly said to me, "And that, Eric, is why you're in this class instead of being in honors where you should be." Whoa, did someone just say I needed to be in an honors class? As far as I knew, that's where only the rich kids were at. What would I do in an honors class? So I accepted his challenge, and I enrolled in Honors English 2. Two social studies teachers provided a good experience in history for me as a freshman, so I went ahead and took Honors World History. Honors classes were a different animal than anything I'd ever been in. My first presentation in Honors English was a memorable one to me. I tried to get by like I did in my other classes by doing the bare minimum. I was given a presentation, and during this presentation, I did not exactly read the book like I was supposed to. I may have read something that somebody wrote about the book or tried to piece it together by the few pictures that were in the book. But either way, I did not give it my best effort. And as I'm standing in front of the class giving my first presentation, I get to the moral of the story, and I'm just completely bombed. They're looking at me like an idiot. So these words actually came out of my mouth in front of this class. "Don't drink and drive. You might spill it." Now they were looking at me like I was that idiot. After that, I did better in my honors classes than I did in my regular ed classes. My antics were not tolerated in my honors classes, but they seemed to be okay in my regular ed classes. I could goof around all day long in my regular education class, and it seemed to be expected, so I played the card that I was dealt. And in my honors classes, I would get A's and B's, and in my classes without as many high expectations, D's. In my junior year, I met Mr. Woodman, and he sparked my appreciation for history. He gave me a 437-page book called Best Evidence. It was about the conspiracy theory behind the assassination of President Kennedy. I read that book cover to cover. That was the first book I ever read with more than 150 pages. He was the first adult, besides my mom, to challenge me to read a book. By the way, if you haven't read Best Evidence, it gives the grassy knoll right around the corner an entirely new perspective. It's so cool to go out there and check out the grassy knoll. If you haven't done it yet, I highly suggest it. My senior year of high school, I got a scholarship opportunity to play football at a junior college, and I went. And this got my foot into the college door. I had not taken the opportunity to talk to a guidance counselor about college. I didn't know what financial aid was, and I couldn't have told you what a FAFSA was at the time. I transferred to Wichita State University and brought my fascination of history with me. Go Shocks. I decided to major in education. I thought I was going to have to major in algebra as many times as I took it. I student taught at Wichita High School North, a demographically diverse high school. There were students from every racial and socioeconomic background. I was very comfortable with diversity, and I found my professional home. I taught history that first year the way that I learned it. I was a lecturing fool. We were in block schedules, so I had 90 minutes to show the class just how much I knew about history. I was great, but I had trouble keeping the students' attention. Sometimes it felt like I needed to put on a clown wig and a nose and dance around on my hands just to get them to to pay attention so that they can finish taking these great notes as I was lecturing to them. 15 minutes into the lecture, they were done, but I was just getting warmed up. I began noticing that I was exhausted, but the kids were completely refreshed because they just woke up. Excuse me. I was coaching football at the time with a guy named Dennis Schroeder. He was one of those guys that had a dynamic personality. He had a year-round tan, smoked Marlboro Reds, and I swear I actually saw him take the filter off before he smoked one. The guy was hardcore. I'm pretty sure he's taught for like 100 years, but he was still in shape and had that cool coaching voice. He took me under his wing and introduced me to a teacher named Stacy Valdez at lunch one day. He told her to take care of me, that I was a good guy. I thought that she was kind of cool. She had the Stevie Nicks thing going for her, but it looked well for her. And if you guys know Stacy Valdez, she's around here somewhere. She does look like Stevie Nicks. Much love. One day, Stacy asked me about project-based interdisciplinary teaming as an intervention. I was interested in the project-based interdisciplinary team, so I accepted. Her English class would come to my history class. My history class would go to her English class. I had the content to drive her curriculum. I hadn't overly been accustomed to my bad habits yet, so it was a great professional move on my part. We did authentic assessments. The kids were engaged. The students that were not successful in traditional classes were finding success here. Stacy and I made a great team. The students had nicknames for us. I was the motivator. She was the exterminator. Now, to be fair, she was the exterminator because she wouldn't put up with mediocrity. So when the students, when she said, you need to do this, you need to do better, they would come to me to cry. I'd give them the motivation, and they were off and running, and they were working. It worked well for us. During the same time, North High School received a comprehensive school reform grant. We had the second worst dropout rate in the state of Kansas and no signs of getting better. Our graduation rate was at 49%. We had the second worst dropout rate, I apologize. We would have 500 freshmen and 230 graduates. We looked at several programs, none of which we've heard from again except for one, and that's AVID. I was asked to be on the AVID site team, and when it was decided that that was the program that we were going to bring to North High School. All I really knew was that we were going to go to San Diego. I'd never been there. It was time for some training. And when we landed in San Diego, we left on a Friday. The program didn't start until Sunday, but evidently it was cheaper for them to fly us in and stay that extra day than to fly us in on a Saturday. I have no clue what the reasoning was. Bottom line is we got that extra day in San Diego, and that was wonderful. We went to the Socratic seminar pre-session. I thought that was a pretty neat concept. We listened to the opening speaker, who was the secretary of the Department of Education or something, and you guys get that young urban go-getter right there. Anyway, he used the word matriculate. And I love that word, fell in love with it. As a site team, we fell in love with the word matriculate right then and there. And I still contend that the greatest AVID t-shirt in the world would have the word matriculate, and on the back, look it up. Oh yeah, we're actually using that next year at Southeast. I'm very excited about that. Okay, so I went to my history strand, and I received the History and Social Science Right Path book, which changed my teaching career. And I don't really want to sound like a commercial here, but it changed my life. It really did. I went through the methodologies in the right path with everyone else in my strand, and the methodologies were engaging and they were fun. I'm sure I had said something to the effect of, I don't get it. These are so simple. This is what we're paying for? And what exactly is AVID then? I didn't see the big picture yet. I loved the trip, I loved the methodologies, but was wondering why they kept pushing the AP test. Do they have stock in AP or something? We kept hearing the name Mary Catherine Swanson, and if you follow the program, miracles would happen. Wicker, writing, inquiry, collaboration, reading. I thought it was some kind of cult or something. And I was drinking no Kool-Aid on that trip. When I did start using the right path methodologies in class, it was like using the Jedi mind trick on the kids. They were writing 5-paragraph essays without even realizing that they just wrote the essay. I would have liked doing a lot of these assignments when I was in high school, and apparently my classes liked it also because I would have 100% participation in the class on writing an essay. I'm going to say that again, 100% participation on writing the essays. And the kids would say, "Oh, Mr. Flip, your class is easy." No, don't confuse easy for fun. All right, guys? 100% thank you. Okay. The next school years, the stars aligned for me once again. The person who was slated to become the next AVID elective teacher at North High left for maternity leave, and as a family, they decided that she would not return. So Stacy came to me again, and she asked me, "Would you like to be the next AVID elective teacher?" And I got to tell you, I was on board. Not just because I was proud of what was going on, but we got to go back to San Diego. That next summer, I took the implementation strand and really got to the nuts and bolts of the program. It made so much more sense to me where I was active in Stacy's elective class, but I just didn't get it all. I was excited to go back to learn more about AVID, the binders, and, as my young brother over here said, the Cornell notes. After the implementation strand, I was armed once again to go back to North High and get started. The first day of the AVID elective class, the students and I took a big piece of butcher paper and we drew the limitations or the hurdles that the students would face in getting into college. The students drew drugs, gangs, family issues, other peer pressures. We did this as part of our theme for the year, know your limitations and then destroy them. Oh, that's a good one. After we discussed the different visuals on the butcher paper, we took that 3 by 16 foot document and we shredded it. We didn't just shred it, we destroyed it. We're not going to allow each other to fail. We were going to come together as a support system for each other. Gosh, I hate when I do this. I'm the crier in the group. But these guys, oh, they're such a special group of kids. So at any rate, it was not always such a sparkling experience, however. So my advice for you as a leader in the classroom is have courage. Have courage not to give up if a strategy doesn't go right the first time. The first time I used the 4 corners exercise, it was a disaster. The 4 corners, you have the 4 corners in your room and you label them agree, strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree. You pose a question and the students walk to the corner that they feel comfortable with their answer, but they can move around to the different corners when their opinions change. All the students, the article that you choose is very important, first and foremost, and this is where my lesson came in. The article I chose was called My Spanish Standoff. My Spanish Standoff was about a mother who got into trouble in elementary school for speaking Spanish. So she goes through school, graduates, gets married, has a child. That child wants to learn how to speak Spanish, but mom doesn't want her to learn how to speak Spanish because of the torment, the negativity that happened to her when she was younger. So mom tells her no. So I posed the question to the class. Should mom let her learn Spanish? Everybody went to the strongly agree corner. There was no discussion about it at all. So I'm looking like a deer in the headlights. And a young lady, Toylina Moore, walks from the corner, crosses the room, looks me dead in the eye as if to say, "You pitiful, pitiful man." Goes to the disagree corner and just starts the debate like that. And I still love Toylina for that. And she is currently an AVID tutor at Wichita Southeast High School. We all know how important relationships are to student learning. My experience is living proof. My AVID elective class had become a family. Our class was filled with every emotion: love, anger, heartbreak, celebration. I was looked up to as a parent at times, a parent of teenagers, not just teenagers, but female teenagers. Not just female teenagers, but crazy female teenagers. I didn't know if they liked me or hated me from day to day. I would butt heads with them on what they were wearing, who they were dating, and even on regular school stuff. If the assignments were not being turned in, teachers would tell me. If the kids were missing class, the students would tell me. We continued refining our program at North High. The North High AVID site team was chosen to go to the trainer of training in Bakersfield, California. It was time to AVIDize Wichita. Before AVID, Stacy and I were the junior class project-based interdisciplinary team, or the scissors and glue class by skeptical teachers. That was because our classes looked different than what they were used to. We didn't really get messed with a whole bunch because we were taking the kids that they didn't want to have in class. But with AVID, there was a strong pocket of resistance. Teachers said, I don't want non-honor type kids in my class. We got sick of the phrase, those kids, and we're gonna have to dumb down the curriculum. While the naysayers were bragging about how many kids flunked their test and defining rigor as making a student memorize 200 words on a chapter test, our third year AVID students were signed up for the AP US History class. I actually sat in the history department meeting when our department chair gave us a list of the kids who were signed up for AP. She told us that we knew the kids that were on this list and to cross off the ones that didn't have the skills to belong in advanced placement. Our English language learners were crossed off. Our students of color were removed. All the students who did not represent the traditional AP kid was taken off of that list. I took this information to our new principal, Denise Wren, who wanted to updraft the students and wasn't going to put up with adult issues when it would interfere with student learning. Ms. Wren looked at me for a second and just simply stated, nope, they stay. She was off to the counselor's office, never to be, the subject was not brought up again. But just for fun, AVID keeps data on everything. And you guys might want to know that our AVID students outperformed the traditional students on the AP US History test and was 0.2 of a point behind the national average, which was significant to us because this was the first AP class that these students had taken, and they were in a class where they weren't very welcomed. Another opportunity for courage, by the way. Now, during my tenure as the AVID elective teacher at North High, I was getting my master's degree in educational leadership. Wichita High School Southeast was starting the AVID program, and Leroy Parks, the principal at Marshall Middle School, was named the new principal at Wichita Southeast. Mr. Parks has started an AVID program at Marshall Middle School, which is the neighborhood feeder of North High. And I received a visit during this time by the high school superintendent who told me that I would be the new assistant principal at Wichita High School Southeast. I already knew Jeanette Blyde. She is still the Southeast AVID coordinator. I knew she had the energy to make this thing move, and I was very excited to get started at Southeast. Like North High, Southeast had some gatekeepers. Southeast is 42% African American, 36% Caucasian, and 17% Hispanic, with a high poverty rate with pockets of Wichita's financial elite. Southeast High School has drastically changed demographically during the past 20 years, and it appeared that some of the teachers wanted it to be the way that it used to be. Essays were required to enter an honors class, and somehow the classes always ended up being monochromatic, even with all the diversity in our school. Students who were capable but did not have the traditional access to these classes were left out. My first year at Southeast was bittersweet. I had the job I was longing for, but I had to miss out on my AVID seniors' senior year. I met and began working on relationships with Southeast students, but I couldn't get my North seniors out of my head. Mrs. Valdez, she would call me and she'd keep me informed on how the kids were doing, what colleges and universities that they were getting accepted to. And I was very excited to find out that that class had 3 Dell Scholars, 1 Bill and Melinda Gates Millennium Foundation Scholar. Another student had won a Hawker Beechcraft Scholarship, and he would go to Wichita State University, College of Engineering, but decided instead to become a math teacher after working as an AVID tutor. And my class of 23 students was awarded over $250,000 in scholarships. We just graduated our first group of AVID seniors at Wichita Southeast. We had similar issues that we faced at North High, and we've handled them as they came. I felt that parental pride, well, I guess more like uncle pride, as Jeanette Blyde had the whole parent thing going. When Charles received his acceptance package from Morehouse, or Justin's acceptance to Clark University. They'll be going to Atlanta with Kara, who will be attending the Savannah College of Art and Design, Atlanta campus. Marcus will be going to Colorado Art Institute in Denver, and Ramsey will be going to Full Sail in Miami. Their other classmates have been accepted to other colleges and universities in Kansas. We have come a long way at Southeast. We've had to double our honors classes and triple our AP classes that we've had to offer. Currently, all of Wichita's comprehensive high schools and their feeder middle schools are starting or have started the AVID program. We are district-wide. Go Wichita. So what I stumbled upon on accident in high school is what the AVID program offers on purpose. It's not K-12 thinking, it is K-16 thinking. So what about you? 10 years ago, I had no clue that I would be a part of a group that would change the face of education in Wichita forever. It is time to save the child. Save them from boredom, mediocrity, and being placed on the back burner. You're now at the crossroads. Some of you might have AVID in your building right now. Some of you might just be starting. Go to your strands with an open mind. Do the methodologies. Implement Wicker in your classrooms. Get along with your site team. Have stories. Have stories that 10 years from now you'll still be talking about. You'll be spending a lot of time together, and a strong site team is paramount in the success of AVID in your building. Believe in yourselves, believe in your students, believe in your trainers. Be the agent of change, whether you're a teacher, administrator, counselor, or tutor. I'm not a life coach. I'm not the motivational speaker. I'm not part of a brainwashing cult. I'm a person that has bought into the AVID program because I've seen it work twice from the ground up. Have courage to believe, and thank you.